Hello sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel and this is Rock City Cookies. Last week I made a video for April Fool's Day that included a breakfast display of bacon, toast, and fried eggs. If you haven't seen the video yet, I'll link it here. Today I wanted to take the time to explain in detail how I made the fried egg cookie. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel in the next few weeks as I explain in detail all the other designs in the April Fool's set. To begin, you will need a cookie cutter shape of some sort. You can hand cut your cookie, or you can use a circle, an oval, or any other shape that you find that might work for an egg. So look through your stash and see if you can find anything that will work first. However, if you do want to use the same exact shape that I used, we do have our egg cookie cutter listed in our shop, and I'll be sure and link that down below. For the egg yolk, you can do one of two things. For starters, you can create a royal icing transfer. What you can do with royal icing transfers is really limitless, and I plan on having a video about it soon. But whatever design you choose, after it dries, then you can simply remove the backing from your design and place it anywhere on your cookie, and it is so easy and simple and fast. So if you want to use icing as your yolk, all you have to do is come up with a size that you want for your yolk, pipe onto whatever backing that you choose, and let it dry completely. Now, it does take a little while for royal icing transfers to dry, so you're going to want to make sure you have plenty of time to factor that in. I do have to say that if you use a royal icing transfer, don't expect to get quite as big of a dome as I got here with my yolk. A royal icing transfer will give you a really cool effect. It'll be awesome, especially from above. I just wanted to make mention your dome won't be quite as thick as what I achieved here. So let's talk about how I did it. For my egg yolk, I decided to use this little thing here, a silicone mold. This mold was purchased on Amazon, and I'll be sure to link it down below. Now, this mold does come in an entire sheet. However, I like to cut mine up so that I can use them individually much easier. You will bake your sugar cookie dough directly in the silicone mold. So make sure that you fill up the mold. Don't overfill it because your cookie will expand. I usually go right below the top so that it has a little bit of room to expand, and you'll want to bake it about 1 to 2 minutes longer than your normal sugar cookies. Once they have baked, take them out of the oven and let them cool for about 5 minutes before you handle them. You don't want to wait too long because moisture builds up between the mold and your cookie, and you don't want that affecting your cookie. Once your cookie has hardened a little bit and the silicone mold isn't hot anymore, go ahead and carefully peel the mold off of your cookie. After your silicone mold has been removed from the cookie, let it cool down completely, and then it's ready for some icing. The other supplies that you will need for this cookie are royal icing. You'll need yellow royal icing for the egg yolk, and I actually used a combination of yellow and orange dye to achieve the yellow that I got for my yolk, and that needs to be in flood consistency. And the other icing that you'll need is white for the egg white, and I actually needed it in two consistencies. I needed it in a piping consistency and a flooding consistency. For the shiny yolk, you will need corn syrup and high proof vodka. And for the salt and pepper, you will need grated chocolate and granulated sugar. And don't worry, I'll explain all of this in further detail later on in the video. Okay, let's get started. As you can see here, my dough is dark. It's not because I burned it, it's because I used gingerbread dough. No magical reason, I was just lazy and I ran out of cookie dough, so I had some gingerbread on hand and I used that instead. Prop up your cookie onto something that gives the icing a chance to run off. I was real fancy here and I used a piping bag coupler. Start piping your icing onto the cookie dome. Just make sure you have enough icing to cover your entire cookie as the icing runs down. It doesn't have to be perfect, and do not worry about those edges. We will take care of those in a minute. Pop any air bubbles that you see. After your egg yolk has had plenty of time to dry, it's time to use a microplane. I'll be sure to link this down below, but basically you will use this to remove any of the excess dripping on the bottom of your cookie so that it is nice and flat. Once again, it doesn't have to be perfect, and if the bottom of your cookie didn't have too many excessive drips, then you can actually skip this step altogether. I personally chose to do this step because I wanted my egg yolk to sit on top of my cookie nice and flat and even. But keep in mind, it's a personal preference, and either way I think it'll look great. Once you're done using a microplane, get a dry paintbrush and wipe off your entire cookie, making sure all the little extra icing bits are removed. Attach your egg yolk to your egg white by using some icing to glue it down. Next, pipe your egg white outline with a thick consistency icing. Immediately after you've piped your outline, flood your cookie. I don't like my flood consistency to be too thin, so I typically like to do about a medium consistency. Now, what does that mean? Well, honestly, it means different things to different cookiers. However, I will have a consistency video coming out soon, so you can see exactly what kind of consistencies I like for all the different things. But basically, as you can see here, my flood is not so thin that it immediately spreads everywhere, but it's also not so thick that when the new icing touches it, that it doesn't blend together. With your flood icing, make sure that you get your icing all the way up and around that egg yolk so that it looks like the yolk just embeds right into the cookie. While your cookie is drying under a fan or in a dehydrator, it's time to make some salt and pepper. For this salt and pepper, I didn't want to use sprinkles because sprinkles have a tendency to bleed. I really expect that black sprinkles will especially bleed. However, if you want to use black sprinkles for your pepper, I think it's a really cool look. I just think you should be aware that the color in these sprinkles might bleed onto your cookie. But a blend of grated chocolate and granulated sugar won't bleed on my cookie, which will keep it having a more realistic look, even though chocolate is brown and pepper is black. Pull out that microplane again and grate some chocolate into a bowl of granulated sugar. Mix your grated chocolate and granulated sugar together in your bowl and you have your salt and pepper blend. I wanted the edges of my cookie to look a little bit brown, like they have been cooked, just to help add with a realistic look. So in order to achieve that, I actually used a butane kitchen torch. I'll be sure and link this down below. It was actually pretty inexpensive and I had so much fun using it, but I used the torch to brown the edges of the cookie. If you do not want to torch your cookies, another option is to paint the edge of your cookies with ivory gel food coloring. Just mix your ivory gel food coloring with that high-proof vodka I was telling you about and get a small paintbrush and paint the edges of your cookie. Now, I know I have said this a lot in this video, but it does not have to be perfect. No two eggs look exactly the same, so just paint a little bit around the edge of your cookie and it will give it a cooked look. After your cookie has been torched or painted, it's time to add the runny yolk. To make the runny yolk, I use corn syrup and high-proof vodka. This is the exact same vodka that I use to combine with dye to paint on cookies, as well as what I use to give cookies a metallic finish. This vodka is 190 proof. It's the highest that we could find. That high level of alcohol content means that the alcohol evaporates off so quickly and it leaves zero taste at all. But it does help to thin down the corn syrup so that it is not so thick, and that helps it dry a lot faster. So I mix mine in just a little container, and as you can see, this is just the corn syrup and the vodka. And it has a little bit of a faster runoff than just corn syrup alone, so it does help to thin it out, which will help with the drying process. I just used a spoon and a little bit of corn syrup and allowed the corn syrup to run off of the yolk. I then went back in and added a little bit more in the bare areas. All right, let's add the finishing touches to our cookie and then we are done. Sprinkle the runny yolk with your salt and pepper mixture. The corn syrup, even though it's thinned down, will still take a couple of days to dry, so be prepared to allow these to sit out for a couple of days. But it does dry hard enough after about 18 to 24 hours that you can move the cookie around and not have to worry about it dripping. And that's it, a realistic fried egg cookie. I hope today you learned a new tip or technique to try. Be sure to ask me any questions. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Come back next week for another April Fool's breakfast tutorial as well as some other videos. Like and subscribe down below. It's the best way to support my little business. And until next time, my sweet friends. Bye-bye. Here we go. Nope, 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 nope. Egg shack. If you want to use that egg shack, I cannot talk today. For the yolk, yolk, right? Yolk. I'm never gonna say it right. You'll need granulated chocolate. Good luck finding that. Bless my heart. Trime. You better have some trime to do that. Yunny roke. Everybody loves a little yunny roke. Yunny roke. Oh my goodness. How many times can I say yunny roke? Lord have mercy. I hope you learned something because I clearly can't even talk.